Warm greetings from the high 10, everyday shenanigans, and welcome, YouTubers. Okay, it is Monday, January 13th, 2020. I want to bring you said information pertaining to the impeachment of Mr. Donald Trump. This information is brought by the New York Times, and I am shortening this article, just bringing you the basic information from the top of the article. If you need verification, please log on to their site. Pelosi alerts House to be ready to send impeachment articles next week, which this article was uploaded last week. In a letter to lawmakers, Ms. Pelosi moved to end an impasse, paving the way for the third presidential impeachment trial in history to begin as soon as Wednesday. Speaker Nancy Pelosi alerted lawmakers on Friday that she would move next week to send to the Senate articles of impeachment against President Trump, making a long awaited announcement that paved the way for the third presidential impeachment trial in American history. The Speaker's statement effectively ended an impasse over the impeachment process that had left the president's Senate trial in limbo for weeks. She did not announce which Democrats would manage the case, but said that the House should be ready to appoint them next week and to formally deliver to the Senate charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. I have asked Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler to be prepared to bring to the floor next week a resolution to appoint managers and transmit articles of impeachment to the Senate. Ms. Pelosi said in a letter to colleagues, I will be consulting with you at your Tuesday House Democratic Caucus meeting on how we proceed further. Throughout the delay, the Speaker had insisted that she was merely pushing for a fair Senate proceeding after Senate Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, of the majority leader, promised publicly to collaborate with Mr. Trump's legal team to secure a quick acquittal. Democrats claim the maneuver successfully spotlighted the need for the Senate to hear from the witnesses and see documents that Mr. Trump barred from the House impeachment inquiry. But she ultimately failed to win any concessions from Republicans on the terms of the trial, and some Democrats, including the senior senator from her home state, Dianne Feinstein, wondered aloud in recent days about the point of delaying the trial before taking back her remarks. As recently as Thursday, Ms. Pelosi had refused to say when she would act and demanded one final time that Mr. McConnell share the precise rules for a Senate trial so she could tailor her prosecutorial team. But Mr. McConnell never appeared to even consider committing to that approach, and he said this week that he had secured the votes he needed to begin a trial on his terms without an agreement on witnesses or documents. And that's just a brief synopsis. Excuse me, got a little tongue-tied there. So as you see, this Wednesday of this week, articles should be sent, and we will see how that goes. I brought you the said information. As I said, if you need verification, please log on to the New York Times, and we will see how everything transpired with this said situation. I personally am not a Trump fan. Some of you may be. That is your preference. But I will not cry. Matter of fact, I'd probably bring out the Chardonnay. Yes, I possibly would. Okay, and more or less, we can bring out a little Tennessee whiskey. Quit playing. But anyway, I find it sad when any president has to be considered for impeachment. I mean, it's really sad because no one should have to be brought up on impeachment charges. Period. But depending on what they've done, what they've been accused of doing, then that's that. As I stated, am not a fan. Many people are not Trump fans. They're not, as I state, to each his own. But I will not miss him. If he gets out, that's fine. Whatever, hey. I just think it was so sad this late in the game that it had to take this long to get to this point. But we will see how it fares out. We will see what happens. Some people don't think that he will be put out of office, as I state. I don't know. I'm just a spectator at this point. I'm sitting by just watching just to see where everything ends up. But if he's still in there, then that was God's will. As I state, what Mr. Trump eats doesn't make me fat. I say that for anybody. And a lot of people have felt that way before he was even voted in, that they weren't going to stop living their life if he became president. They have not stopped living their life because he is currently the president. And yes, the world has flipped over on its head about a million times since he has been in office, with a lot of craziness and nonsense that has transpired among people in this country. A lot of racism I've seen really just came to full throttle when he got voted in. And that to me showed the people were already feeling that way anyway. It's just that when you had someone help you with the rhetoric, you felt you had an ally, so now you can just be yourself. You didn't have to hide anymore. And that's my take on that. And a lot of people felt like that. And at first, I didn't want to think about that when I kept seeing people talking about that on social media about this man, that he's incited racism and a divide amongst our country. But then I started just hearing the rhetoric with people. And even now, you can go to a like Newsbreak app and there could be a said subject. It doesn't have to even be about politics. First time someone makes a comment that disagrees with the said article or someone else's commentary, the first thing that's said is Trump 20 this, or Democrats are this, or liberal this, and it's like, what does that have to do with the said information? And I have just come to see that there's some truth to that. That these people, no matter what subject you're talking about, they have to put politics into the subject. They have to put Trump's name into the subject. They have to down liberals and Democrats in a given subject matter. And to me, that shows a coward, a very coward demeanor, a coward way of living, a coward's way of thinking. Everything isn't about being a Democrat or a Republican. And you cannot bring up being a liberal in any given situation because you don't like the Democrat Party. That is so vile to me and petty. Because I don't think like that. I don't think because something happened over here that it's a Republican's fault or a Democrat's fault. In most cases, it's a people's fault, person's fault, a people's problem, person's scenario. Everything isn't about politics. And that's what's wrong with a lot of people's thinking, that they use politics as a clutch, a platform, and they wear it in the ground for any given situation or circumstance. And that's a terrible way to live, and it's a terrible way to think. It's a terrible way to be. Stick to the agenda. Stick to the agenda. I'll bring you an update on this situation. I'll possibly bring you an update by Wednesday on this said situation to see where everything stands. And thanks for joining me. Like, share, and be mindful of the little ones. Thanks a lot, you guys. Thank you so much for my new subscribers, my loyal fans, those that don't give the queen a lot of static and rhetoric. Ooh, Lord, honey, I surely thank you and appreciate you. God bless you. Talk to you a little bit later. Bye-bye.